Hey, thanks again for joining us here at the Gill Athletics Connections podcast. This one's going to be a fun one because I've known this guy for quite a while, and he works in a segment of our great sport of track and field that I have a real soft spot for as a former head coach in the junior college rank. So help me welcome Robert Wood from Coffeyville Community College. Robert, how are you, my man?
Mike, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing real well. I got you on the line, so I'm doing great, man.
Yeah.
And honestly, from what we were talking about before we hit record, I think I'm doing just a little bit better than you because you're coming off surgery and you're healing up on that knee of yours.
Yeah, it's been about a week, but I'm doing well, walking on it. It's almost normal. So
You're a track coach. Can we really say you're almost normal?
no, I'm not.
Well,
my in-laws don't understand what I do for a living.
yeah, hey, you know what? Ditto, unfortunately. So why don't we start? You are the head coach of Coffeyville Community College. I used to be the head coach at Neosho County in the same area and definitely the same conference. So I have a lot of love and respect for what you do at Coffeyville and all the other guys and gals there at the Bartons and Allen counties and Hutchinsons and formerly Johnson County. I still can't get over that, but why don't we take a step back? Let's go through a little bit of your journey. Why don't you take us back to high school, maybe where you grew up, maybe what events you did in track and field, and talk to us about that.
Well, I didn't do track.
Hold on a minute, Robert. We're on a track and field podcast. What do you mean you didn't do track?
I did track in 7th and 8th grade, and then we moved back to my hometown of Blackwell, Oklahoma, and baseball was my first love. Baseball and football, and they had high school baseball, and they were really good. We were really good when I was there. I played high school baseball, and then I ended up going to college and playing college baseball.
No, hold on now. Okay, obviously baseball, same season, time frame as track. Is that, and in baseball seems to have been your passion, that's what you played. Is that why you didn't do track, or was there just no thought of doing track at that point?
I've told people before, if I knew about the hammer in high school, that's my favorite event. I love the hammer. I love the weight. Every thrower that comes to Coffeyville throws the weight, throws the hammer. There are no exceptions. I have a passion for that. I think the kids I get here have a passion for it once they leave. They may not like it when they're here,
right.
But by the time they get done, I went to college, played baseball, actually coached college for about a year and a half, 2 years at another junior college in Oklahoma. Got married.
Stay back in baseball for me. What position were you in baseball?
I played first and third.
Okay.
And I was a switch hitting DH, and then I actually got a tryout with the Atlanta Braves, an open tryout. That's how I ended up at Tabor College, where I went to school at.
Okay.
They had a big open tryout, and there's also, I think the college coaches were there, and I ended up at Tabor College. Spent 2 years at junior college, then ended up at Tabor. So.
Yeah, I shouldn't say most, a lot of baseball players go the junior college route. I remember when I coached there, it's super popular. I guess it's because there's some rule about to be eligible for the draft. If you go to a 4-year school, you're not eligible until your junior year, I think it is. And
you go to the NCAA. The NCAA, you have to be there 3 years. So, your draft stock a lot of times is better because you got more experience. But in junior college, if you go to junior college, guys sign first, second round in junior college for millions of dollars.
So they can go to the draft at the end of their freshman year?
Yeah, they can be drafted both years they're here. A lot of kids do that because they want every opportunity they can do to get drafted. So
right.
I played in college with some guys that got drafted. It's unique. College baseball is.
So you went on to Tabor College in Kansas.
In Hillsboro, Kansas.
Hillsboro, yeah. And you played baseball for them.
Mm-hmm.
And were you still first baseman, third baseman, or?
First, third, and switch DH.
And still no track?
No track.
Not even, you didn't walk out to track practice one day and be like, hey, screwing around, nothing?
Nope.
So this is blowing my mind, man. Because not only are you now a track, spoiler alert, by the way, he's a track coach, head track coach. You're really stinking good at it too. This is not the traditional way by any means or way. So track is not in your life at this point, going through college, which is crazy. is coaching in your life? Are you thinking about being a baseball coach at all, or what was your career path?
My plan was to go back to high school, coach football, baseball, and teach history. I have a bachelor's in history and a master's in health sciences. And that was my goal. That's what I was going to go back home. I love where I'm from. All my family's there. And that was the goal. And then I really decided probably about halfway through my senior year, I didn't want to deal with parents. So I wanted
Every
to go
coach listening right now just went,
I, I did some substituting at home. Ended up getting on as a part-time assistant at Northern Oklahoma. There in Tonkawa. They just started their baseball program. I ended up getting to know the head coach, and I was there for about a year and a half, and then got married and ended up at Cali County. In my first 3 years at Cali, I didn't coach. So
what did you do?
I worked the dorms. I was a dorm manager, and
You didn't coach anything, baseball?
I coached summer league.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Summer league, but nothing where I was getting paid to do it.
Right.
And then I'm sitting in the office one day, and the head coach had two people that were decent college track athletes leave him. And he walks in, he goes, "Do you want to coach track?" Yeah, I guess.
Now, who is this genius that got you into track and field coaching?
His name's Casey Belknap. He's out of the business now, but he's really still one of, I call him a lot just to talk track because, he ran at Butler County, JUCO guy, then went to Bethany, there in Lindsborg. And it's just, he goes, "What do you know about the throws?"
I was going to say, so what did you think when he said this?
Well, I threw when I was in 7th and 8th grade, and I had some decent coaches. And
well, yeah, Robert.
Yeah, I know.
unless your 7th and 8th grade coach was Art Venegas or Don Babbitt. I mean, come on, man, that was middle school. We were, me and you were knuckleheads when we were 18. I can't imagine what we were at 12 and 13. Come on now.
Well, I ended up going in, and he kind of took the first practice just to show me the weight and stuff, because it was right before we were getting ready for indoor season. It was probably October, right when practice really started, and October, November is right around there. But we talked, and we trained him. I weightlifted him. I wrote up the plans, ran through him, and so we did things.
Why did you even say yes? I mean, why was there any? But why not say, yeah, I'm waiting for a baseball gig?
I wanted to coach. I'd even talked to some guys over the years about going back to grad school at the time and coaching football. I just wanted to coach, but we were a new program at the time. It'd been dropped for about 30 years or so, 40 years, and we were a new program, and it was just a chance for me to get back into it, and it ended up going pretty well so far.
Yeah, well, exactly. Don't jump too far forward for me on there. So you did how many years? This was at Cali, right?
I spent 9 years there. I spent 6 years coaching.
Wow, is that right? So
I worked in the dorm the whole time.
What did you do to kind of start learning how to coach track?
I went to level 1 in Highland, Kansas.
Yeah.
I think it's where we first met, actually.
I think it is, yeah.
We first met. I went to level 1 school, and then, I begged, borrowed, and stole everything I could.
There you go, man. Best coaches I've ever heard. That's the mantra.
That's what I did. I asked questions. I watched, got the videos. Anybody had a video out, anything I could order in, talk to guys and watch how other coaches handled things. And, I'd actually go and ask questions. Why you got him doing this, or why you got him doing that, especially the first couple of years. And things kind of just slowly grew into what it is.
You have an obvious passion for the hammer and the weight throw. Did that kick in almost immediately, or did it take a few years for you to start?
Cool.
Is that right? Hooked immediately?
Yeah, it was cool. It was like the craziest thing you ever seen. Guys spinning around like that and throwing it, going, "Oh man, that's so awesome!" That was my whole, boom.
I've had the pleasure of talking to Lance Deal about hammer, Judd Logan about hammer. Earlier this week had Cale McDaniel. I am a self-admitted, I love the hammer. When every place I've ever coached and at almost every meet I've ever gone to, I always go early just to watch hammer practice. I actually like hammer practice more than the hammer competition, even though the competition is amazing, of course. Just the turn, it's the ballet, the art of it. It's just blows me away. And then the ability that there is no stereotypical body type. There's kids that look like they're high jumpers or kids that look like they're shot put. I mean, and all in between, and they've had success. It's been
Mhm.
amazing. I love that. I'm with you, man. I love that event. It's unbelievable. So it hooked you pretty early.
Yeah, it did. Probably about the first week or so, I was like, oh, this is cool, you know. And I love the shot. Don't get me wrong. Especially now that I know more about it,
Mhm.
or the technical aspects of it, you know, the javelin as well, and the discus. I love the throws. I mean, I had 25 throwers 2 years ago, so
Oh my
yeah. So
God.
yeah, it was herding cats is what it was. But
Yeah.
yeah, I love the throws. I mean, our program um, has been built around that and the jumps and the sprints. Um, you know, that's where we've been since when I was the assistant here, and that's our tradition. That's what we're going to stay. We're going to be true to ourselves there.
Did you go from Cali to Coffeyville?
I went from Cali to Coffeyville, you know, 2007, and everything was kind of on the downturn and everything, and they were cutting budgets, and my spot was one they were cutting, and I reached out and got an interview. The AD at Cali helped me get the interview, and also his wife at the time was our dean of students, and she helped me get the interview because they both actually worked here
Hmm.
years ago and knew everybody here. And I got the interview, and you know, 2 weeks later they hired me.
Yeah, Coffeyville's, you mentioned the history of Coffeyville. When I was at Neosho County, I mean, not only because of location being pretty close to Coffeyville, but just always had good athletes, and always it was kind of on the cusp of doing something even extra special, like the Bartons of the day back then. So been really cool to see what you've brought as an assistant coach and now as the head coach. Was there a time during, let's say, the early years of you learning to be a track coach, a throws coach, was there ever whether it was a competition or a practice or an athlete that you can think of that the light switch came on, like, oh yeah, I get this event now, like I am a throws coach, like an arrival?
Um, Probably it was probably one of the girls I had, Tamara McMillan.
Okay.
Tamara was from Florida and ended up at Cali, and then ended up at San Diego State, and still coaches out at San Diego High School.
Hmm.
Um, her freshman year, she came in and she really didn't want to do the weight. And I'm like, you're a weight thrower. You're not a shot putter. You're a weight thrower. And she bought in the second year, ends up winning the JUCO national title, and ends up one turning like 48, 49 meters with the hammer, and
Wow.
ended up second at nationals. And I'm like, you know what? You know, just
Told
get a kid
you.
to buy in. Just get a kid to buy in. Just buy into what I got to tell you. That's all any coach I think wants. Is just buy in.
Yeah.
Good things will happen.
I think I can't remember who said it, but just recently on I think it was in the coaches collab group on Facebook, someone said that if you can convince your athletes to believe in you and you can't coach, you'll get much more success out of those kids. And obviously it's the coaches that get the buy-in and they know what they're doing coaching, that that's where your superstar teams and athletes come from. So yeah, that buy-in is really key. Was there anybody that was that you would consider a mentor that has helped you along the way to learn the throws?
Mark Phillips a lot at Cali still.
Mm-hmm.
Me and him are still tight. There's been other coaches. Derek Yutch and I have got to be pretty good friends. Greg Watson, uh, Nate up at K-State. Guys I watch, the D1 guys that I watch, I talk to. Um, you know, even guys in this conference that I respect. Dave Schneck's one of those guys I respect as a throws coach. I mean, you know, he's a legitimate guy. I mean, and he's very talented. Of course, when you throw for who he threw for, he probably knows what he's doing. So, you know, Dave and I talk about training stuff at meets and things. And there's Brian Mantu, that's actually a Coffeyville guy. He's at Pitt State University now. He's been there for years. those are guys I talk to just about training stuff, things they may be doing with their kids, just to, try to stay where we want to be. So.
Mhm. And you got the opportunity to become the head coach 2 years ago now, right? Is that
I'm just
time
starting my
frame?
second year.
Second year. What led to being that? And was that always a goal for you, or did that just kind of come about?
Uh, my goal is to be an athletic director eventually,
Yeah. Okay.
at the junior college level. I love this level. I want to stay at junior college. Um, my goal's never been to be a head coach. My ultimate goal. Um, I was the assistant here at the time, and when Craig Perry, who was the head coach for the last 12 years, left to take a high school job, move back closer to where he's from, they elevated me to being the head coach. And one thing I think good head coaches, you go out and find the best assistants you can. So, and I've got those guys right now, I think. So,
Who's that? Let's talk about these guys.
Maury Turner. I have Maury
Hmm.
Turner here. Was at Roger State for years. All-American at ORU, All-American at Hines, went to Mississippi State. Does a great job with our sprinters and our jumpers. Hoping to take a little less off of him this year and let him be more of just doing the sprints. And that's our hope. We're bringing in a jumps guy. He's not been hired yet, but hopefully everything
Knock
goes.
on wood.
Yeah. And then Coach Turner actually brought one of his former athletes with him, Quentin Powell, that ran for him. It was an D2 All-American at Roger State, and he's doing a good job. He's a good young coach. He's going to be really good in a couple of years. He's going to be a guy that's probably going to be a D2, D1 type guy.
Hmm.
So,
What do you do? Being an assistant is one thing, and we just had this conversation with Kale about, as an assistant coach, you're really responsible for your group and its place in the culture of the program. But now, as the head coach, you're responsible for the whole enterprise, right? Like I always remind coaches, because it is a business. You're the CEO of Coffeyville Track and Field Inc. So you have to oversee everything on a personnel side. So you've got some young coaches there, and I know Maury personally. What a great guy. What a great guy. Point blank right there, man. And definitely the best part about him is he went to Mississippi State. That's, as a former Mississippi State guy, come on, man. That's the best. So love Maury to death. But you have responsibility as the head coach to help these assistant coaches, these guys and gals that come through your program as assistant coaches, to develop their skill sets as well. What do you think about, how do you work that angle of making sure that their skill sets rise up while they're in your program as an assistant coach?
we've had a lot of guys go through here, a lot of young ladies go through here that are now Division I assistants. Romero Henry was an assistant for us. Josiah Norville is at UC Santa Barbara, I think now. He was an assistant here. Some of the guys came through here over the years. Aaron Reeves at ORU now. Aaron's a former Coffeyville athlete too, and he also coached here as well. I'm here. I've got experience you don't have. I have questions. And for a lot of guys that come maybe from a Division I athlete part to come back down and start to coach junior college, it's new. It's different. It's the mentoring side. It's okay, tell me what you think. Tell me how you do this. How would you handle this? And just, I don't want to have to coach your group. Like you said, I'm the CEO. I'm hiring you to take care of the business. If you need me, come ask. That's how I approach it. I approach it that, Coach Turner's group, that's his group. I'm not going to go interfering with his group unless I say I think there's something wrong. And then it's going to be me and him talking. I'm not going to go in the middle of practice and say something to him. We're going to talk about that later. Coach Powell, same thing. That's his group.
So you keep it on that level. Is that to help keep them, the respect level of the athletes towards them?
It's to keep me sane.
That too.
Yeah. I honestly, and I called Craig after the first, couple of meets. I said, I did not realize how much administrative stuff you have to do for a meet.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
That's been the biggest change. It's not the coaching. It's not the recruiting. I can still do that. It's the sitting down and plugging in, 65 athletes into a meet, and paying for it and not knowing if they're going to get in. So,
It's cruel ruled.
and the administration going, well, how many are you taking? And then, that's part of it. We all know that. That's the business. But I more than anything is that's how I was taught.
Mhm.
You go out and you do it and you work and you learn and, if you have questions, come ask me.
So let's talk about Coffeyville specifically. How many years have you been there in totality?
This is going on 14.
14.
I
And
start 14 July 9th, I think
give
so.
us a kind of 30,000 foot, some of the successes you guys have had there at Coffeyville during that time frame.
It's just a matter of building the program. When we got here, we had 16 kids. The biggest group we've had in that 12 years before Craig left was 94.
Wow.
So that's how the program's built and developed.
Growth.
Yeah. I spend about 4 nights a week up in the office making calls. My wife is truly a track widow. So she knew what she's getting into when she married me. So, some of our successes is just giving kids a chance. Because junior college is different. Now, we've had some big-time kids here. I mean, probably the most famous is Andre DeGrasse.
Oh, Andre, I thought you were going to say someone like Adam Pennington was maybe your most famous.
Well, he wasn't here. He was at Cali.
So oh, that's right. Yeah. That's
I had
right.
Adam at Cali. Yeah.
I still thought he would transcend no matter what community college he was at. I have to make sure because he gave you a little bit of business on his episode, so we got to make sure we return the favor.
No, Adam's done. I am so proud of him. The way he's developed into a father, for one thing,
Yes.
a coach, into a mentor. And I've chewed his butt out once or twice over the years.
I'm shocked. I'm sure he deserved it.
Yeah, he probably deserved more, and he knows it. So, it's developing, it's mentoring, it's relationships with the kids. That's the one thing I love about this level is when a kid leaves here and they go to the next level and they call you and go, Coach, I appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Or email me, hey, I didn't realize what you were talking about till now. So
let's talk about, and specific to Coffeyville, but let's talk about junior college. I don't want to say there's not a lot of people, but not everybody knows about junior college as an option for track and field, not only for athletes. So, we have high school coaches that listen to us. Maybe there's some that don't know that there's a real viable, strong, valuable junior college circuit for kids, educationally and athletically. There's coaches out there that, sometimes we get into it where it's, if I'm not coaching at D1, am I really coaching? Well, here is a great option. Again, hand raised, I came through. I was a coach on the junior college side. Talk to us about junior college, track and field as it relates to like recruiting. What kind of kids are you looking for? What's the value of a junior college? And like I said, you know Coffeyville specifically, so you can keep it specific to Coffeyville.
For us, the kids we're looking for are the kids that may have been overlooked. We're looking for the kids that may not have the grades. I mean, I've had parents tell me, and for years, I'll call and talk to a kid, and it's usually an in-state kid. They don't understand junior college, and there's 20 junior colleges in the state of Kansas.
Yeah.
And I've had parents go, well, you're like JV, right?
JV?
Yeah, that's yeah. I've had a parent tell me that one time.
Like you're like varsity level, junior varsity level.
Yeah, you're like JV, right? And I'm like,
wow.
You have no idea what junior college is, do you? Track and field. And when I get done explaining it to them, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Did you show them your conference results? Just show them like, here's conference. You think that's JV?
Yeah. And especially this conference in the Jayhawk Conference, this is the SEC of junior college. I mean, this is, I tell parents all the time, junior college is basically Division I athletes, Division II athletes. They don't have the grades or don't have a test score. Mm. They're still the same talent level here. Mm-hmm. And sometimes in some events, it's good or better than the upper levels. Not all the time, but every once in a while we'll get a kid that's, Kenny Burdett a couple years ago at Indian Hills. Mm-hmm. That kid's phenomenal. Mm-hmm. So, but it's trying to get kids to come in and work and develop, and we're about developing here. We're still about developing.
And when you're recruiting kids, and you're recruiting, I'm assuming, are you recruiting regionally? Is this all across the nation?
Internationally too.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah, we got, I've had kids here since I've been here from Israel, from Kenya,
Wow,
from Canada, Barbados, Bahamas, Fiji.
that's cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, so we've had kids from all over the world.
And
Uh,
you're trying to get them to Coffeyville, Kansas.
yep.
Now, and remember, I was in Chanute, Kansas, so I'm allowed to go here. What are the, I'm going to throw the softball question to you. What are the struggles recruiting into a small town? And it's a town, people. If you, what's the show, the football show where Homeboy was there, the football guy on
Oh,
Netflix,
um,
Independence, Kansas.
yeah.
Dang it. I keep,
Last Chance U.
Last
Yeah.
Chance You, yeah. So like independent, if you watch that show, Independence, Kansas, that is Coffeyville, that's Chanute, that's Great Bend. I mean, that is the majority of the Kansas Jayhawk Community College town. So when you're recruiting to a very small town. What are some of the obstacles you have to overcome to get kids to choose Coffeyville?
Uh, getting them to understand that this isn't the big city. That that one, I always tell them. I said I'm a little bit of a hard ass, because one thing is my whole goal is for a kid to graduate.
Hmm.
That's got to be rule number one at this level. I honestly believe that, and some guys may not agree with me, and that's okay. But if a kid comes here for 2 years and doesn't graduate, or 2.5, or whatever it takes him to graduate, then I don't think we've done our job.
Hmm.
I'm not about just bringing a kid in to win, because that's not fair to the kid. Now, if a kid doesn't come in and take care of his business, that's on him or her, because I've given him every opportunity to. But we don't sit in a bad location where we're at. I mean, we're an hour from Tulsa.
Right.
So Bartlesville which is a town about 80,000. Got a little mall over there. We're 35, 40 miles from them. We're an hour, 10 minutes from Joplin, Missouri. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of how I say, look, we're in a location where there's within an hour, you're in pretty decent sized cities to go hang out and do stuff in.
So
But I'm always straightforward that we are a small rural town.
small, yeah, name it 3 times, small, small, small. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We're a
When
town of 8,500 people.
Is that right? I can't remember what Chanute was, but sometimes it felt like it was 8.5 people. So uh, there's obviously, when you're recruiting, you're looking for developmental kids, overlooked kids. You're looking for kids that maybe have missed the mark grade wise or test score wise. Flip that. What are some of the advantages, or what's easy about recruiting to a junior college, specifically Coffeyville?
Cost.
Hmm.
We're pretty affordable. Now we can give big scholarships, but not every kid coming here is going to get a big scholarship. Most of our kids are on books and tuition still. We do have some kids that are on more than that, but they're usually sophomores that have proved themselves as a national
Mhm.
competitor. But that's also some of the things parents don't understand, is that track and field, no matter what level, don't plan on getting a full ride.
Mhm.
So, but being affordable, being one of those places where they can come get a quality education and then move on to the next level. We promote our kids a lot with the 4-year level. We've done something for years called the sophomore profiles for almost, 15, 14 years now.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to, it's not a secret. I was gonna say, I don't know if you want to give up your secret to
Everybody
any
knows
other,
about it.
but I see it on Facebook. You are one of the most prolific, and I mean that in all positive ways, on Facebook. I hardly ever see a post from you about anything that you did. You know what I'm saying? It is all about, hey, here's this athlete, come get them, come recruit them. Hey, here's this profile book. These profile books are ready. It is clearly evident you are doing everything you can to help the kids move to the next level.
That's what junior college, I think, should be about. Is about helping that kid, that has maybe that didn't get, maybe ran all relays in high school because that's what the high school coach needed for points at the, and taking that kid that maybe was probably a 49-second quarter miler in an open, but only didn't run as fast or whatever in the relay, and giving them a chance to compete.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll find a diamond in the rough every once in a while. you'll find a kid that like, whoa, where'd this kid come from? You know?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what story? Do you have a kid? I'm assuming Andre was a stud coming out of high school. Is there a kid that like no one would take him or her on their team, and they became national champ or All American or anything like that?
Well, going back to Andre, Andre was we had actually had a commitment from another kid out of Canada, at the time I was the recruiting coordinator, and the kid called us about 2 weeks before school started. 3 weeks, said, "Coach, I'm not coming."
No.
And so I'm like, "Oh gosh, now I got to go find somebody." So I go on to search engine. I type in Canadian International Sprinter. Toronto International Meet shows up. In the 100 meters, it's some guy that's sponsored by Nike, and then there's Andre DeGrasse. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I copied and pasted his name, put it in a search engine, or on Facebook, found him on Facebook, and sent him a Facebook message. Said, "Here I am. This is who I am. This is where I'm from. We're interested in you." And about 30 minutes later, I get an email from his mom. "Are you serious?" "Really?" "Yeah." So can you call his coach? His coach up in Canada is Tony Sharp, who ran in the Olympics for Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So I called Tony, and we talked for about 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. We didn't talk track. All we talked was education. That's all we talked about is how are you going to, I said, "I'll put my 10.5 where the sun don't shine to get him through." And 3 weeks later, Andre DeGrasse is on my campus. That's how I recruited Andre DeGrasse.
How did he not already have something lined up? Wow.
That's how I got Andre DeGrasse here.
You just gave hope to everybody. Like, oh, wait a minute. I just got to Google. That's all I got to do. Oh, and just Facebook them. What have I been doing wrong?
That's how we got Andre to come here.
I would thought you were going to tell me some intense recruiting battle between you and Barton and one of the Arizona schools or what have you.
Well, he ran 1056, 1058, somewhere in there. And there may have been some other schools. And I've honestly never asked Andre or Tony about that. But I don't know if it was just we were the right fit, because it was all about education. It's got to be. It's about, him getting an education and moving on to the next level. That's the goal.
Well, he did, right? So he comes at you with a 1050 something PR. What's he end up running at Coffeyville?
10-1 legal.
10-1.
996.
Was that Odessa?
No, it was Hutch.
That's where all our wind-dated stuff happened, was at Odessa. Gets his degree because he goes on to USC. So, I mean, he
graduates with a 3.4, 3.5 from here. Goes on to USC and kind of blows up there, and then, ends up signing with the company he's with now. And
now, see, that's an amazing story. SC is a dream school for lots of people. And guess what? Lots of people don't get into SC. And here's a kid who goes through the junior college route, does the things he needs to do academically and athletically and socially, right? So he didn't get in trouble to where SC stopped recruiting him, and gets the opportunity to go to SC. Oh, that's amazing.
I think in 2 years here, I had one conversation with him and that was because he missed a class and he was sick. He was literally sick. I don't think Andre missed but one class in 2 years here.
Wow, man. See, that to me, to your point about what are the goals of junior college, that's what it's about. It is about those kids and that need second, and you know what, sometimes third and fourth chances. But guess what? So some of us adults need second, third, and fourth chances, right? So to have a kid who maybe didn't have an opportunity to go somewhere, goes to Coffeyville Community College, does, again, you talked about, you got to have self-ownership, right? He's got to do the right things. He does them. And now look at him. He's in the talk for winning the Olympics coming up next year. I mean, that is the poster child for junior college track and field right there.
Yeah, he's Andre and I talk quite a bit still. He's pretty close to my wife too, because my wife was his tutor for math. So it's it is a family business here, because my wife's employed by the school as well. So those are the stories that, as a junior college coach, and when we talk to kids, what are your aspirations? Where would you like to go after 2 years here? And the kid will say, "Well, I want to go to Florida State." Okay, I got kids at Florida State right now. Mm-hmm. And I'll have parents go, "Where have your kids went?" And I start telling them, USC, San Diego State, Wyoming, Michigan State, Syracuse, Alabama, you know, and I started mentioning all these places. They're going, really? Really? Yeah. So junior college is a way to the next level. It's a gate, but you got to
So
use it right.
I assume you have to have, you just mentioned all those great schools, and there's 20 more right behind it that you could have named. You must have college coaches at all levels calling you all the time. Who you got? What's coming up? How can I get this kid to come to our school? You've got to be like the Pied Piper, right? You're leading the charge to go to 4 years.
One reason we do the sophomore profiles is to get those coaches to call our kids and email our kids. And over the past, 13, 14 years we've done it, I'll send that thing out and I'll tell the sophomores, look, when I send this out, within 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to get a phone call. You're going to get a text message. You're going to get an email. Young man I had here a couple of years ago. He's down in Houston now. His name's Miles Mahofer. Miles holds our school record in the weight throw, and he goes down. He last year ended up breaking Houston's like 3 or 4 times. But I told him, I said, I'm going to send this out, and your phone's going to blow up. Oh, Coach, I don't know about that. And I sent it out, and he said within about 10 minutes of me putting on our team page that, hey, sophomore profiles are out, he said he had like 5 emails, 3 or 4 text messages, and 2 or 3 missed calls. That's how fast it happens. I had one girl last year, the year before, text me and goes, my phone won't stop ringing.
Is that
Well, it turned off because there's nothing I can do about it now.
right? Is it because you've earned, not only do coaches trust you with the level of athletic and academic side of the kids, but also the, hey, if you vouch for them, then they're a good kid?
I hope that my word means something. I hope my integrity and my staff's integrity and the program in general's integrity speaks for itself. That's the goal, is we try to one, educate, 2, develop, where those kids walk out of here with an associate's degree, and then they walk into a Division I, Division II, NAIA. And I don't care where they go. It's great to send a kid to USC, but it's also great to send a kid to Mid-American Nazarene up in Olathe, as long as they're getting a quality education and they're going to make something of themselves. They're going to take responsibility for their actions. So that's our goal. I think that has to be our goal. But I do like to win too. So, but we have to be on that plane, I think. And junior college is a great gate for that some parents don't understand. And some high school coaches may not understand, especially if they're not in a Texas or a Kansas or an Arizona or Iowa or even on the East Coast. They don't understand what the junior college level is and how big it is.
So talk to us about, you said you like to win. I've yet to meet a good coach who doesn't have that competitiveness. So it's good to hear that from you, Robert. You're in the Kansas Jayhawk Conference. Do they still split it up East and West as well?
Yeah, there's East, and then Region 6 is everybody together. So.
Right. So talk to us, for those guys and gals that don't know about Region 6 and Kansas Jayhawk, some of the teams and like what's it take to win in this conference?
It takes, you got to have a elite program, to be honest with you. Talking to some coaches, it was actually the national meet a couple of years ago at Pitt State after the weight throw. 2 guys went over 20 meters. One guy went 20.85, my guy went 20.45.
Wow. And
afterwards they go, this is like being at a mid-major, upper mid-major conference meet now. So the type of guys we have are guys, and young ladies that are, maybe on their national team in their home country. We've got Olympians, in this conference, in this region competing. We've got guys that leave here and go to big-time universities and win an NCAA title, or go to a Division II and become an All-American or win a title there. So, when you're talking about the Jayhawk Conference and junior college in general, but the Jayhawk Conference, and like I said earlier, we are like the SEC of junior college track. You come to our region championship, you're going to see some dudes and some young ladies that are really legit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and young ladies throwing, almost 20 meters in the weight throw, almost, yeah. So this is where we're at in events running 740 or 730 in the 60,
Wow.
So this is where we're at, and this is what we do.
What do you think? You've been in this conference in this region now for 20 years and been around it for a long time. And when I coached in there, it was the 2001 season. And before me, God bless, Bartons and Hutches and all those Johnsons, all those guys at Coffeyville were just killing it. So the tradition has been long. Like, it's one thing a conference has a streak of 2 or 3 years that they're good, but this Jayhawk Conference has been good for a long time, and maybe at the biggest disadvantage because you have 20 of them or so in the same state. It's not like this spread out. Like, everybody is competing for the local talent, plus about another 100 other four-year schools. By the way, what is it about the Jayhawk Conference? Is it location? Is it Kansas? Is it coaches, facilities? What keeps this tradition alive there?
I think it's just the tradition. I think
Mm.
it's people knowing that, there are certain schools we get a lot of kids that gets placed here by Division I or Division II schools that don't have grades, and there's certain places that work with certain schools, and that's fine. I mean, relationships are built, but I think the junior college aspect in this conference is just look back at the tradition that the Bartons and as you said, Hutch, and now us as well, and the Cloud counties and the ones that are.
Yeah, how can I forget Cloud?
Yeah, nobody can forget Harry. Come on.
Harry, come on, man. Exactly. I love that man. That
Oh, yeah.
dude, godfather of track and field, not even junior college track and field. I just love that man.
So he's been doing it 43 years now.
Uh,
Yeah, something
are
like
you
that.
are you trying to say he started when he was 10? Come on, man.
But the tradition here is I think it's something that a lot of people don't understand in all of our sports, in all the junior college sports. Because if you go through and you look at junior college in this state, just coming out of our school, we've had an Olympian, the Heisman Trophy winner, and the world heavyweight champion.
Who were the last two?
Mike Rozier played here. They played in
Really?
Nebraska and won the Heisman Trophy. And Buster Douglas played basketball here.
Buster Douglas.
Mike Tyson, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Buster Douglas played basketball here.
Wow. Holy
So,
cow.
that's something no other school in the country can say. Is
Yeah.
Olympian, world heavyweight champion, and the Heisman Trophy winner on their campus.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. I love that. I love that. Well, you've been there so long and had tremendous success, tons of throwers, bit of jumper sprinters, etc. But you personally have had a lot of athletes that you've coached have not only high success on junior college, but go on to the 4-year and have continued success there academically and athletically. I'm gonna ask you bluntly, why are you still there? I mean, I'm assuming you had to have had some options to go to 4-year, and you're now the head coach. Why are you still at Coffeyville?
I'm a junior college guy. I went to junior college. I wasn't a great student. I'll be honest with you. I tell my kids, you want to know what my GPA was in high school? I'll tell you.
We're waiting. I want to hear it. We got to.
It was a 2.179.
It's over a 2, baby.
Yeah, I was eligible. I went to junior college at NEO A&M, about 45 minutes from Coffeyville, 50 minutes from Coffeyville. So went there for 2 years, got my degree, got a 2.85, went to Tabor and got my degree there. Ended up graduating with like a 2.6. Waited and went back to grad school and graduated with a master's with a 3.77. So I always
better.
Well, it's coming out of my pocket, so makes a world of difference.
Motivation.
Yeah, motivation. When you're paying for it, you're a little bit more interested in it. So, but
you just kind of like proverbially cut your arm, you bleed junior college.
I'm a JUCO guy.
Yeah.
I'm a JUCO guy, and that's when they asked me about what I wanted in an assistant, and I wanted a JUCO guy. That's one reason Maury fit what I wanted for my program. Is I wanted a guy that had junior college roots, had junior college, knew what was going on, knew how this works, and the young men and women we work with. That's what I wanted. I wanted somebody that looked at things a lot like I did with the junior college level. So I've had offers. I've had guys call me and go, "Hey, you interested in this job?" No, not really. I've been offered a couple times. I've been offered a Division I job. Hey, we want to interview you. You know, the whole, we're going to interview you, but it's your job if you want it. And no, I am, but I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it'd be, you know, it'd be cool to be a Division I coach, I think, but I love this level too much.
But all the things that you look for in a satisfying life, where you and your family, your wife are growing up, where you're affecting kids' lives, where you're able to live the life that you like to do, you're finding it right there in Coffeyville, Kansas.
Yeah, I'm 2 hours from where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
I was about 2 hours from my wife's family, but they moved to Tennessee since. So we're about 8 hours from them. We're still
Mm-hmm.
within driving, leave in the morning, be there mid-afternoon. But you know, I plan on retiring from here. That's my goal. Is I got about 6 more years, I think, 7 more years, and I can retire. I'll have my points in. I'm not going to retire because I got a daughter that told me the other day she wants to be a pediatric oncologist. So I'm going to have to work till I'm probably 90 to
Yeah.
pay for her
Good
school.
luck.
Yeah. So she's 13 and she already knows what she wants to do. And
Good for her.
yeah,
That's
she
like 1% of people.
yeah, she got her mama's brains, I guarantee it, because it's not mine. So she
You, um, that's funny. So you've done so much, and definitely right now the goal is to continue staying that path and affecting kids. And I tell you, I agree with that kind of the culture of junior college that you're talking about there, that you're describing. Junior college, I'm so glad I had the opportunity to coach in the junior college, even though it was 1 year. You kind of, your eyes open up to really real world track and field as a whole ecosystem, not just a 4 year program. You really, things are different on the junior college ranks, and I think sometimes extremely good and maybe sometimes not so good. Looking back now of 20-ish years on the junior college route, is there anything you would change about junior college, whether it's a rule, whether it's I wish we had them for 3 years? I don't know. Would there be anything?
no, not really. I think we still run the 4x8 in junior college. Again, we're about trying to get as many kids competing as possible, I think. I think we can take a kid that may not have, again, that was a decent kid, and they may be able to help us on a DMR or 4x8 or something like that at the national level, and they run well. And talent, talent. Coaches as coaches. I had a young lady here several years ago that was on an academic scholarship, and she told me she wanted to come, and we said, yeah, come on. And she's walking down the hallway. I'm watching her walk, and I come back to Greg, and I said, put her on an LOI. He goes, because she
You
didn't.
just see it.
Well, she was a young lady that didn't compete her senior year, but the way she walked and everything, I'm like, you need to put her on an LOI. I don't want to lose her. He goes, she's not cost. I said, I don't care. I don't want to lose her. I said, she's the real deal. And her name was Brittany Blunt. And Brittany's aunt is Lynette Woodard.
Oh.
I did not know that when she got here. And her sister actually played basketball at Independence. Her dad played basketball, I think she told me, at OU. So very athletic family.
Yeah.
So she's walking down and she ends up being a 3-time All-American, ends up going to ULL and setting their school records in the weight and the hammer. And he told me later, he goes, I'll never doubt you again. He goes, how'd you know? I said, just by the way she moved down the hall. There's something there.
That is a great story of keeping your eye open at all times. There was an All-American that could have never been an All-American if you hadn't seen it, spoke up, stayed convicted to your thought there, and had her come out. That's awesome.
She's I'm proud of her too. She's now a trainer at Wichita State.
Really? Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Went to KU, got her master's. Now she's at Wichita State.
Wow, man. Well, Robert, man, I've known you for a while now, and I think something you said earlier really kind of, for me, summed up what I think about you and what you ultimately you show again every day on the Facebook and stuff like that. You mentioned that while certainly you name names like Florida State and USC and Syracuse and Kansas State, things like that, because that's names more people would recognize. You said, I'm paraphrasing, I don't care if they go to Mid-American Nazarene or Florida State. I just want them to go on to the 4-year level to receive their bachelor's degree. And, when you say that, I hear you say, my ego is not driven on the name of the school they go to. My ego is driven that they go on and become a trainer at Wichita State or a law enforcement or a teacher or whatever, right? I just think the world of that, of you, man, that you, junior college to me, it's all about giving back. You're not receiving, well, I know you're receiving a lot. I understand that, but you are giving so much more because of, you get them for 2 years. You gotta pour in twice as much to these kids to get the equivalent. You've got to really be with them, earn their trust quickly, earn their buy-in quickly so that you can turn around and help them move on to another coach and another program.
Yeah, it's got to be about them first. I think it's got to be about them first. If I do my job and they graduate and they move on to any school, then I've done my job. I've done my job. Now, again, if we're winning, then I'm really, really happy. So, and we're competing well, all Americans doing all that, the school's happy, the program's happy. My goal is to every day, hopefully, this door is always open for them. They know that. I've had kids tell me after the season, I'm the closest thing to a dad they've had, because
man.
I'm brutally blunt, honest. And I tell them that. I will tell you exactly what I think, and I'm to the point. And I'm very demanding, and my staff I know is demanding, and it's not that I'm demanding to be a butthole. I'm demanding because I want to see you succeed, and that's why I'm demanding it. So if I'm telling you to go to tutoring, because I'm telling you to go to tutoring, I expect you to go to tutoring, and then there's, you don't go to tutoring, then we've got to pay a price. But, whether it's suspending for a meet or you're done with practice for a week, I've taken kids out of practice and made their practices going to the SSC and getting help. I've lost valuable practice times with my kids before, and, the Coach Carter thing, I took them over and put them in the SSC, our Student Success Center, and I sat there for 30 or 40 minutes and told the people at the SSC, I said, they can leave in an hour. And I'll go get the rest of the group and we'll go out and practice.
I am lucky enough and humbled enough that I get to talk to the greatest, however you want to define that, the greatest track and field coaches around this country. And I have yet to talk to a single one, male, female, 4-year, 2-year, D1, D2, D3. I have yet to talk to one yet that isn't successful, again, however you define that, that doesn't have those high expectations of their athletes, their program, their assistant coaches. That's exactly right. You fit right in that slot, man. Having those high expectations that demand that we are going to work our tail off and then let the chips fall where they may. Well, Robert, as we start to wrap up here, I want you to kind of look in your crystal ball. Why don't you give us a diagnosis of what you think next season, 2021, is going to look like? We're pumped. We can't wait to get back on the track. So what's it going to look like for Coffeyville?
I think we got a chance to be pretty good. We're still missing maybe 1 or 2 pieces to that puzzle. We've got some kids that are some bounce backs that are big time kids. We've got a couple of kids that are coming in that on both sides, men and women, that are, legitimate national caliber kids. I think we got a chance again to do well in the region and the national and the conference. I mean, we're going to have to work hard, and my staff does a great job. I don't worry about the kids they coach because they're being coached well, they're being coached correctly. I show up at practice more than anything just so those kids see my face, because I'm at the throws rings the whole time, and we practice before and finish before they do usually. And so I try to come out once or twice a week, more than anything, just to show my face. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm still the head coach, but you don't see me. But I think we got a chance to be pretty good. A lot depends on what's going to go on, and trying to get a quality schedule. We try to. We usually open up at Arkansas, and I tell them, I said, I tell my freshmen, I'm going to take you and throw you to the wolves. You're going to learn real quick, real fast what this is all about. So, we take them over there, but I think for us, it's more just, and as you know, being a former junior college coach, what you have in the fall is not a lot of times what you have in the spring. So
Both ways, attrition and addition.
yeah. So right now, I think we got a chance to be really good on the men's side and pretty good on the women's.
Well, we'll be following along, man. It's as an alum coach of the Kansas Jayhawk, I still keep an eye on the results, watch the region results, and of course the national meets. And it's still just so exciting to see, like you mentioned, the SEC of junior college. You look at the top 10 of nationals, and it's 6 or more coming from the Jayhawk Conference year in and year out, man. You're in a bloodbath every day, baby. But you know what? I don't think you would trade it for anything in the world.
No, this is the best job in the world. I got buddies that are doctors and lawyers, and we'll get to talking at reunions. And what do you do? I said, I'm a college track coach, man. I said, they pay me to go track meets. I mean, what better job is it than that?
That's it. That's right.
Go to track meet.
That's it. Hey, don't tell the secret. Don't let it. We don't want other people in. We don't want people knowing. Come on, man. That's our secret.
But
dude, I'm so happy we got to do this. Thank you so much.
It's been a long time since we got to talk.
It has, man. I am just so humbled that you would come in and share your journey. Blew my mind. I always learn something about people, even the people that I know the best. I love that you were not a track person and then became a track person and a highly successful track person. I mean, that just, if you're listening and you are thinking, not just track coaching, I know we just talked about the greatest secret there is. They pay us to go to track meets here. But if you ever are doubting in your mind that you can't be a lawyer, you can't be a doctor, you can't be a track coach, you can't be this, you can't be that, and you let all those people from the outside tell you that, let me tell you what, here's a great example of just, being open to the opportunity. That's one thing. I love that aspect that the guy asked you that, what was his name?
Casey Belknap.
Casey, yeah, I can't even read my own handwriting. That Casey asked you and you were open, said, okay, let's do it. I want to coach. And then you worked on your craft, kept working at it, got better and better, and keep going until now you're the head coach and still have that drive and desire to continue being at this level. Let me tell you what, that is a story of so much perseverance. I can't stand it, man. I love it to death, Robert. You are a great example of that. And I love that we're talking to you at such an early stage in your career, because you've got 20, 30, well, let's see, what does she want to be? A pediatric surgery? Oncologist. So you've got 50, 60.
I got a lot of track meets to go to.
A lot of years, man. And I'm so thankful that she wants to be that, because that means we keep you in the game. You can't retire. We're going to be redoing this podcast in 50 years and getting an update on your career, buddy. Let me tell you. Thank you so much, man. I love you to death. Thank you for being here today on the Gill Athletics Connections podcast.
Appreciate it, Mike. Appreciate it a lot.